Hey YouTube, Why'd Dual Stick here, doing a ban list sort of video, giving I guess my thoughts and maybe like me thinking what Konami was thinking when they banned or limited or whatever cards. So first off, newly forbidden cards, Fishborg Blaster. Fishborg probably had to go because in the decks that ran Fishborg, you really only ran one. And I had a conversation about this because I played a water synchro deck at Nationals, and before we had the conversation saying that Fishborg is probably the best tuner in the game because you can just bring it back every single turn, and you can bring it back multiple times per turn, unlike cards like Plague or Glow Bulb or whatever. And with the new card surfacing coming out, there's no reason limiting surfacing, which is relatively balanced when Fishborg was a real problem. Trunade. Trunade was not a skillful card. At least Heavy Storm. If you set 3 back rows and your opponent sets 3 back rows, you're not going to Heavy Storm in that situation. But you can just Trunade and then win. Mind Master. There's some FTK deck, no matter how inconsistent or consistent it was, FTK decks don't deserve to exist other than frogs. And Royal Oppression. The reason why I think Royal Oppression was banned, or maybe why Konami thought, is like, sure, special summoning is like pretty much how the game resolves right now, but like Royal Oppression, the first time you activate it is always, well, for the most part, is always a +1 because your opponent's either going to be synchro summoning, most likely synchro summoning, then you oppression to get it. Or, well, I guess that's +2, or you use just on a regular one. That's probably why they banned it, which I think is a really bad idea, but whatever. Newly semi-limited Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. I think this is a bad idea, especially with other cards in the list, but whatever. One Debris Dragon, the plant engine has been good for too long. Formula Synchron. I don't necessarily think Formula Synchron needed to go to 1, but like it's really good. Like when they ban cards like Fishborg, they don't need to put Formula to 1 also, because the decks that abused like they abused Formula the most ran Fishborg and the Plant Engine, which they already hammered. Heavy Storm coming back. That's definitely good, but we're going to come into a problem with a card later on the list being MST being no longer limited because Heavy Storm, we're going to come from a format where, last format where setting through back rows on the first turn is very common no matter what deck you play. And now a lot of people are going to be setting 1 or 2 back rows because you don't want to get blown out by Storm. But the problem that's going to arise is you set 1 back row and you're like, all right, well, they're probably not going to go off. And then they're like, nope, MST, I win. Which hopefully doesn't become the format, but who knows. Shien is also limited. Shien probably deserved to get limited. Samurais are pretty good, especially in Japan. Lone Fire Blossom just fuels Pot of Avarice way too much. Next card being Pot of Avarice. Last format, Pot of Avarice was almost always played like Pot of Greed. Primal Seed, I have no clue what this card does, but I know that there's some sort of loop with it. So, whatever. Shien Smoke Signal, same as the reason for Shien, just adds way too much consistency to the Samurai deck. I honestly don't think that they need to limit both. I think that they could have limited Shien and kept Spoke Signal at 3, and Samurais would have just had to play it a lot differently. And then TG Hyper Librarian. Honestly, I think that they could have banned it, and it would have been just as good. It's just a card that you get incremental advantage from, but I'm not sure if next format's going to resolve around synchroing, so it might not be as good. Newly semi-limited, Call of the Haunted. Call of the Haunted is like a good card. It's like a skillful card. It's one of those cards that you, like, with Tour Guide existing, like, I don't know if it's good to have 2 Call of the Haunteds because you're just going to come into plays where you exceed level for a 2500, detach Sangin, and then just like search. They play MST because you have 1 back row, and then you search again, and you're just so much in the plus. But Call of the Haunted being back does like prevent people from just blind MSTing for no reason because for the aforementioned reason, bringing back Sangin or Card Trooper or Dandelion. To 2 Destiny Draw, it's no longer a broken card. Duloran, Tiger King of the Ice Barrier. Definitely should have been put to 2 or 1, doesn't really matter. It's only good in 3s with Symbol of Heritage. Mind Crush, it's a preventative card from cards like Beckoning Light, which is going to become, I think, the best card in the format. 2 Necrogardna, I really like that, but I don't think it's good because they also put JD to 3. Swords Revealing Light, there are a lot of cards in this list that, like, they're bringing up the amount of stall, but with MSTs and heavy storms, I don't think it's going to be a problem. 2 Summoner Monk, card's bad. Tragodia, I think it increases the power of Twilight, but I don't know. Blackluster Soldier's really good, and people are just going to start trying to build around it. And then the newly unlimited cards being Gravity Bind. I honestly think that's a bad idea because like, I have a feeling that there might just be some deck that just throws 3 Gravity Bind. That, the deck's not going to be good. It's not ever going to win a jump or anything, but that's going to be a deck that you play round 2 of a regional or a shonen, and you open no spell and trap removal. They open Gravity Bind, 3 Wave Motion, and they just beat you because you draw really bad. And I can already see bad beat stories of people bitching about it online. 3 Icarus Attack, I definitely like that. Blackwing's been hit enough, and Icarus Attack is good in like GBs and stuff. 3 Judgment Dragon. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. I really enjoy playing Lightsworn. Unlike what most people think, they think it's just a Saki deck. I think Lightsworn is actually an incredibly skillful deck because, like, there's a lot of toolboxing effects with the graveyard. Like, sure, when you go Lumina Gareth because you opened your Lumina Solar Recharge and charge, and mill Necrogard and Wolf and draw 2 cards, that's sure good, but when you open the hands where you just set Arcus and you play around Arcus and you normal summon your Aaron on the next turn and then you just lock your opponent, and Honest being a really skillful card. Like, I played Lightsworn last format when Honest was at 2, and I thought it was really good. But I'm pretty happy to see it back. But I don't think putting JD to 2 or JD to 3 was the reason. I would have rather than put JD to 1 and put Charge to 3 or Lumina to 3 and Necrogarden to 3. The next card being Unlimited being Megamorph. I don't know if I like that. There might just be some OTK deck with it. I don't know. It's probably just going to be bad. 3 Mystical. They brought up the number Spell and Trap Destruction, and they brought up cards you want to destroy. But I don't know. I think it's a good idea, but I think we're just going to see a format where everyone's going to start running a lot of Spell and Trap removal, so people are going to stop running as many traps. And then because of that, people are going to run less Spell and Trap removal, and then people are going to run more traps, and it's just going to do that for a while. 3 Overload Fusion. I don't think that card needs to be a 3. That's another one of those bad beat stories where your opponent opens Heavy Storm to your back rows and Chimera Techs you, and you lose. And Spirit Reaper to 3. I think that's definitely good. Like, I don't think you're going to see many games where your opponent just sits behind a Reaper, but I really like Spirit Reaper as a card. I think it's really well designed. And definitely it's going to be a staple in Donzalug decks. My overall opinion on the list is, like, I think the format's going to be good. They didn't hit Tour Guide or Tengu, which they might still hit in the TCG list, because this is the OCG list, but they've never really done that before, so I don't think it's going to happen. That's the problem, is almost every deck in the TCG right now runs 3 Tengu, and the other, like, most other decks run 3 Tour Guide, 1 Sangan, and Tour Guide is going to be the best card in the format if it doesn't get limited, because Sangan's such a crucial card, and it's good in decks like Lightsworn. Like I said before, I've been testing a Tour Guide Lightsworn deck. It's pretty good because it gives you the darks for Chaos Sorcerer, it gives you darks for your BLS, and you're still going to see a plant deck with 1-for-1 Dandelion, 3 Tour Guide. That's still really good. And Tengus, obviously. Tour Guide's going to be amazing when Dark Worlds come out, because not only with the field spell you remove cards for Leviair, it also works really well because Tour Guide and Sangan are fiends for the field spell. If you don't want to remove your Grafas and you have a Tour Guide in the graveyard, you just remove that and it works. Also, just in general, like, +1s are good, and yeah. But I think the format's going to be really fun. I haven't even gotten started